In fiscal year 2025, a single company facilitated a staggering $14 trillion in payments. To put that in perspective, that is more than half the entire GDP of the United States. But here's the most shocking part. This company does not issue cards, they do not extend credit, and they don't actually lend a single penny. Yet, they boast an operating margin of 67%, the highest of any company in the S&P 500. We are talking about Visa. While you think of them as just a piece of plastic in your wallet, they have built what experts call a digital railroad that controls the flow of global commerce. But a massive federal lawsuit and a new wave of instant technologies are threatening to derail this money machine forever. How did one company become the invisible gatekeeper of your money? And why is the US government now calling them an illegal monopoly? To understand Visa's power, you have to realize they aren't a bank. They are a network of networks. They sit at the center of a complex web involving 14,500 financial institutions and 175 million merchant locations. Outside of China, Visa and their rival MasterCard control a massive 90% of the payment processing market. They don't make money from interest rates. They make money by acting as the plumbing for 901 million transactions every single day. Every time you tap, dip, or swipe, a tiny fraction of that transaction is harvested by a system designed to be unavoidable. This is the four-party model, and it's the reason why your $4 coffee actually costs the merchant significantly less once the Visa tax is taken out. When you buy something for $100 using a rewards card in the US, the merchant doesn't get $100. They usually get about $97.77. Where did that $2.23 go? It's split between three groups, but Visa is the one who sets the rules for all of them. The biggest chunk, about 70% to 80%, is the interchange fee. This goes to your bank, like Chase or Capital One, to pay for your travel points and cashback rewards. Then there's the acquirer markup for the merchant's bank. Finally, there are scheme fees or assessments. This is Visa's direct cut for using their rails. While their direct fee is small, often around 0.13%, they processed 258 billion transactions in 2025 alone. When you multiply a tiny fee by 258 billion, you get a net revenue of $40 billion. This system is a masterpiece of economics called a two-sided network effect. Merchants accept Visa because billions of people carry the cards. People carry the cards because millions of merchants accept them. It's a flywheel that has been spinning for decades, creating a moat that is almost impossible to cross. But how did they get this head start? Visa was actually born out of the major American banks. In 1958, Bank of America launched a card in California that eventually became Visa. Because they were owned by the banks, they used restrictive contracts to ensure merchants had no choice but to deal with them. By the time regulators stepped in, Visa was already too big to break. They had become the digital counterpart to railroads. If you want to move money in the modern economy, you have to use their tracks and pay their tolls. If you think you're avoiding these fees by using a debit card, think again. In the US, Visa handles over 60% of all debit transactions. In September 2024, the US Department of Justice filed a bombshell antitrust lawsuit against Visa. The allegation? That Visa operates an illegal monopoly over debit payments. The DOJ claims Visa wields its dominance to force merchants and banks into agreements that kill competition. Perhaps the most startling claim is that Visa makes its potential rivals its business partners. The suit alleges Visa struck deals with tech giants like Apple, PayPal, and Square to ensure they wouldn't develop products that competed directly with Visa's debit network. Attorney General Merrick Garland put it bluntly, Visa's unlawful conduct affects not just the price of one thing, but the price of nearly everything. Why does this matter to you? Because merchants pass these billions of dollars in processing fees onto consumers by raising prices. Whether you pay with cash or card, you are likely paying the Visa tax baked into the price of your groceries and gas. Visa, of course, argues that they are just one of many competitors in a thriving market and that their network provides world-class fraud protection that justifies the cost. While Visa is fighting in court in the US, the rest of the world is building a way around them. In Brazil, a government-sponsored system called Pix launched in 2020. In just 2 years, it amassed $2 trillion in volume. In India, a system called UPI has captured over 80% of digital transactions with zero merchant fees. In the US, the Federal Reserve finally launched its own version in 2023 called FedNow. These are real-time payment (RTP) networks. Unlike the Visa model, which can take days to settle and costs 2 to 3%, these systems move money in seconds for a fraction of the cost, sometimes even for free. Then there is the threat from stablecoins. A merchant accepting a fiat-backed stablecoin payment can pay near zero transaction fees. For a business doing $1 million in sales, switching from Visa to a stablecoin rail could save them $22,000 a year. Currently, Visa has a massive advantage in consumer protections like chargebacks and fraud guarantees. If you get scammed, Visa can get your money back. With stablecoins or instant bank transfers, once the money is gone, it's gone. But those gaps are narrowing, and Visa knows it. Here's what most people miss. Visa isn't just trying to defend the plastic card. They are trying to own the operating system of all money movement. They call this Visa as a service. They have invested $13 billion over the last 5 years in technology to ensure that even if you aren't using a Visa card, you are still using Visa's security. They are moving into tokenization, replacing your 16-digit card number with a secure digital identifier. They've already issued over 16 billion of these tokens. But the real next big thing is what they call agentic commerce. In the near future, AI agents will initiate and complete transactions for you. Visa is already building the infrastructure to provide these AI agents with credentials, meaning your robot assistant will likely be powered by Visa. They aren't just a card company anymore. They are a data and security company that happens to process payments. This matters because the 2 to 3% fee that funds your airline miles is under fire from every direction. In the European Union, regulators already capped interchange fees at a fraction of US levels, and as a result, European rewards programs are much less generous. If the DOJ wins their lawsuit, or if the Credit Card Competition Act passes in Congress, the American system of high fees, rich rewards could vanish overnight. We are at a once-in-a-lifetime inflection point, where payments are becoming more intelligent but also more invisible. Visa is betting that their 6-9's reliability and global trust will keep them at the center of the world's economy, even as the rails change from card networks to blockchains and instant bank transfers. So the real story isn't just about the card in your pocket. It's about how a single network has integrated itself so deeply into the fabric of global commerce that it has become nearly impossible to extract. Visa is fighting to ensure that whether you pay with a card, a phone, a stablecoin, or an AI agent, they remain the ones who authorize, secure, and tax that movement of value. And as this story continues to unfold, one question remains: what happens next?